India is at the intersection of Industry 4.0 and strategies here you have sadly corrected that there is no more Industry 4.0. We're going to 5.0 and 6.0. Right? Digital health. We have Dr. Sachdeva with us to talk about and give us insights of how technology is changing healthcare. COVID we have all seen, right? Right from your consultations going online to now prescriptions also being written online and they are valid now. Earlier they were illegal. Right? Deep tech research. We have Dr. Vandana Sharma, who is among the top 2 Stanford scientists. And she talk about the deep tech and women and STEM and telecom infrastructure and startup aspiration. From 500 plus startups to 200,000 startups and still counting with women representing and coming in. I myself, I am an entrepreneur after 27 years of industry, from teaching technology to creating technology to selling technology. I created Mahananda University on the Secretary Private Limited. So walking the talk of entrepreneurship and women-led. Our directors are also women.
And then we talk about entrepreneurship, startups, and we also is an example just mentioned. So we are having the, I would say, the environment which is getting more favorable, and we are working in that direction. All these things are happening, and when we talk about our country, we do understand that we are our median age is around, say, 30 or so. So when we talk about that death level, the receptivity or how the gender balance, the balance thing is more well taken care of versus when you talk about the past where the median age was say 40s or something. So we are around in 30s currently. That is also very much in favor. The technical growth is giving us lots of flexibility, whether what kind of rules coming up, the flexibility in working and all these areas. And then there is a business case which is there, which I talked at length in my presentation, that we do understand that it is more about not the societal impact, it's more about the economic impact as well. So whether you talk about getting the right innovation, getting the right stakeholders. So all those things are happening. But that's a very good part of the story which needs to be further taken forward. Keeping in mind the couple of things which I mentioned, that the biases which come in, whether we talk about the system biases or we talk about the societal biases or the disabilities which a women has to face in. So if those things are well taken care of, this can be accelerated at a very strong pace.
So about me, brought up in middle class family, वो एक engineer या doctor ही बनना था, engineer कर रहे because dad was an engineer. दिमाग बिल्कुल लगा नहीं था honestly, और job किया normal, और कहीं कुछ करना था, कुछ दिमाग लगाया software करते, software is the easiest right, and start कर दिया. Co-founder साथ में ले लिया, so that you know it's a kind of a complementary thing, and then the reality strikes, right? आपने चीजें ऐड की, we added telecom and infrastructure to our portfolio, and then the reality really struck. Because चाहे आप अपने ऑफिस में जाएं, या क्लाइंट के पास जाएं, या मार्केट में जाएं, there were very few women, and you are always judged, you are always taken as somebody who has come from the support department, HR, या उस तरह से कोई आ रही है, finance से शायद कुछ junior आ रही है. They don't look at you. They would look at your people, the team that is going with you. There will always be a kind of bias, an automatic thing. I didn't think much about it. अब जब ये questions आते हैं तब आप सोचते हो हाँ यार हुआ तो था ऐसा कुछ. Because I thought I was in my own world. That this is something I have to build. This is something I have to do. मेरा next step क्या है? How do I have to deliver? There were things that I sort of said, okay, things will happen. In fact, I'm an engineer from MIT Kurukshetra. वहाँ पे भी लड़कियाँ कम थी. I think we were very few women, so I just thought this is the way it is, right? Never sort of realized कि अच्छा ऐसा हो सकता है कि women equal हो सकती हैं. It's just the way you are brought up, the way the life happened. So I just stuck to what I had to do, kept delivering and focused on my work, and that is where we have been able to grow. We have a pan-India presence. We are in telecom services, system integration services, software, still doing that. We're trying to go global. 17 years into, into being.
Right now. So I'm coming from academic background and I have been mentoring my students irrespective of gender. I don't see any gender. I don't see a boy or a girl. I just see they are my students and they are stuck somewhere. And because they are stuck somewhere, I have to mentor them out from their notions, their apprehensions, their fear. This is what I have been doing last 17, 19 years. 17 years. And deep tech now today, universities are already including entrepreneurship incubations, and they are including mentorship, they are including industry verticals and industry people from various verticals to be part of the curriculum. But we need more and more such initiatives. We need one common platform. This is, I think, the right platform where I can talk about this common grounds. Because you people have ideas and resources, and maybe you require right resources, human resources to engage in, and we are the one who can provide that resource to you with the right skill set. Our students are very much skilled today, and we are in the era of generative AI. Please do not forget that. So today, coding is nobody's doing coding, but everybody is generating coding. And coming up with a nicer idea, coming up with a nicer, any case study or any kind of implementation that you want to do, you can do it in 24 hours. I have seen that myself. So we are in an era of LLMs and generative AI, and what I see in the deep tech is cybersecurity as the major area which is going to be in the next 20 years. Everybody is going to be either working, either providing services or providing products in the era of cybersecurity, because everybody wants to be secure, and we are in the world of digital.
Our obsession with pregnancy and postpartum. Most of the studies, most of the care, in fact in our OPDs also, we cater to pregnant females. If I look at the OPD numbers of non-pregnant females, females coming to us with menopause, adolescent health problems, PCOS, endometriosis, that is far less. So that is the same way goes for the technology as well. So technology also focuses on pregnancy and pregnancy related issues. It is not bothered too much about adolescent healthcare, which is, or menopause for that matter. Third is the digital inequality. There are two classes right now in India. One is the digitally connected and they are or digitally empowered, the literate urban population among the females, or the digitally disconnected, the rural population, the illiterate population, or maybe the elderly ladies, who are not connected to the digital healthcare. So that is another challenge, and that is another lacuna or gap which we come across. The last challenge I would say would be that many femtech tools, they enter the market without robust peer review. You would look at any apps, anybody can make an app, flow app, whatever, and they predict the ovulation, they predict the fertility days. Nobody actually comes to us. I don't think, they are reviewed by any peer or any clinician. Do they actually make sense, or how accurate they are? I have seen so many females in my OPD who are crying, who are so distressed that my ovulation kit does not show that I'm ovulating. And then we have to reassure them that technology doesn't tell you everything, so you have to correlate it with a human touch. So these are the challenges, which we come across on day-to-day basis.